Hello, this is Isaac from Turn Sounds. Why not share a phone charger with a friend?
Welcome to Just Keep Walking, a podcast focused on the Walking Dead TV show. This episode we're discussing Season 10, Episode 15, called The Tower. Alrighty, how's it going, guys? I'm your host, Ben, joined today by Liam, the legend Swainson.
Oh, there's a new one. I can get used to that.
I'm so thrilled to see how I'm going to be introduced here.
Well, you're still Isaac, long live Luke, Anthony, so... hashtag
I'll take that.
Long live Luke.
That's a good one.
And spoilers ahead, I'm also now Isaac, hashtag long live princess.
Ooh.
Yes.
Hey, that's good. Okay.
More on that later.
Well, hey, you guys, anytime you can appoint yourself a new name. You're more than welcome to. This isn't a dictatorship.
I'm going to stick with the one you gave me. That's quite a nice one.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
easy for you when you get to be the legend Swainson.
Yeah, I was considering Isaac casual fan Anthony, because I'm the casual fan on your Star Wars podcast, and you're the more casual one here. It's not a bad thing, but
We'll see about this. I'll beat you in trivia someday.
yeah, true, you will. Alrighty, so thanks for listening today, guys. We're going to talk about our overall impressions of the episode first, and then sort of get into more of an in-depth review. And then we've got a segment at the end just talking about some of the previous seasons of the show. So before we get into it, just a full spoiler alert for the episode and the whole show so far. We'll try to avoid any comic spoilers or anything upcoming. But Isaac, can you issue our official spoiler warning?
Gladly, I'll give you a casual spoiler warning. Spoilers ahead!
Oh, wow. A little half-hearted today.
You've knocked the steam out of me.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Continue.
All right, thank you for that. Yes, so, and also for any questions and suggestions or feedback, any of your thoughts you'd like to get in touch with us, feel free to go to turnsounds.com, turnsounds@gmail.com if you want to email us, or Turnsounds on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of those. We'd love to hear from you. So, overall, what did you guys think of the episode? Liam, do you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it. I loved Princess. She was incredible. Bordering on potential new favorite character territory.
Wow.
I loved her energy. And, she was just fun to watch.
That's awesome.
But outside of that, I really enjoyed the rapid change into, actually, no, this is all-out war with the Whisperers now. This is really cool. It felt like a setup episode, but it was brilliantly done. Very on the edge of my seat going in. But I know what's coming, but it didn't drag. Oh man, I just loved it. It was great.
Awesome. Great. Cool. Isaac, what did you reckon?
I am 100% in the same boat. This gripped me this entire episode. I was, sad to see the credits roll at the end. I was like, I'm not finished with this, It's branching off into different stories, which typically I don't like, but when each of the threads, the narratives I do like, it's very easy to go, okay, now let's go ahead with Judith and Daryl, and now let's go back with, the king and princess, king and the princess. Less so with Carol, of course, but, that's all okay as well. So it has left me hungry for more.
Yeah, and that's really kind of sucks because it's the last we're going to see of the show for a while, which is the biggest shame because
What?
Oh, what? You didn't know about this?
No!
Oh, okay. So the next episode is the finale, but they've delayed it because of the coronavirus, because all the post-production VFX and editors and stuff, they obviously can't go into the office and finish it off. So yeah, they've had to push it back, unfortunately. So
Too bad we don't live in a digital world where you can work from home and send in the projects you're working on.
Yeah, I don't know, but I trust those guys. I'm glad they're not rushing it, but still, it's a shame for sure. Oh well. But yeah, so this is it for now, unfortunately. But yeah, so same as you guys. Overall, really loved the episode. I watched it twice in the space of a few hours, so I really enjoyed it. Got even more out of it the second time. My big thing that I didn't like so much, and I'm gonna come back to this a pile of times throughout, isn't so much to do with the actual episode, but just the actual pacing of the season overall. Like it really felt like we'd skipped an episode with, I don't know, so many storylines. They were just all of a sudden in this completely different place, or we'd looked over things that should have been a big deal. So I'll come back to that as we go into it a bit more. But that was my main disappointment, was just I loved everything that happened in the episode, but I felt like we'd missed a whole lot, or, you know, it could have been paced a bit better. So yeah, that was it for me. But yeah, diving straight into it. So we start off straight into where we left off with introducing Princess. So I take it from your initial reactions, both of you guys loved it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did as well. I was definitely like, it was sort of on the edge for a while of, okay, is she going to be, you know, this cool, fun new character, or is she going to be like the Jar Jar Binks of the series in the sense of, you know, too silly or too out there? But yeah, there were a few points throughout the episode that it sort of, I was like, oh, this could be the turning point. I don't know if it's where it's going to go from here. But yeah, I really loved the character overall. It was fun to see. I love the pink. It's good to see some actual color in this universe for a change. But yeah, so it was fun. What did you guys think of her overall, if you want to go into that a bit more, particularly her introduction?
I am personally amazed that her pink jacket is as clean as it is.
Absolutely.
And that, if nothing else, that is impressive. Kudos to you, Princess. In the apocalypse, you still managed to get some clothes washing done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought her character was awesome. I was semi in the same boat as you, Ben, in that I was a little bit worried that it would be a bit over the top, and that would sort of pull away from the realism to a degree. Be like, oh, no one that, what would the words be, optimistic to a crazy extent would be alive at this point. But yeah, it didn't quite hit that. So yeah, I just thought she was fun to watch.
Yeah, well, in the words of Eugene, a few bananas short of a bunch, which I'm not quite sure what that means, but Eugene said it, so I trust him.
Yeah, a few sandwiches short of a picnic.
Yeah, sure. Isaac, what do you think?
Oh, man. So I really like... branching off what you said about it feels like we missed an episode. One thing that I did actually like is that the episode starts and they're already in the middle of an argument.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you pointed your gun at us, or, you know, you were gonna kill us or something like that. And it was kind of like, okay, I'm glad it didn't just pick up right from the spot where she said, oh, hi there, type thing. And so I did like that we were thrown right into the middle of that. But pretty much I was on edge going, you know, is she absolutely crazy? She's been on her own this whole time, you know. Is she going to take the whole loner thing a bit too far, the actress? And is it just going to come across as annoying, like you mentioned? But I think she hit the balance just right, where it's kind of like she's got that Deadpool kind of quirkiness about her.
Oh, true, hey.
And but in the same boat, you can tell that human interaction is not her forte at the moment. Like, she's not brushed up on it, so she doesn't know quite how to act. And I think she did that in a way that was charming, almost.
Yeah, I'm glad that she actually addressed that. Well, the script writers addressed that too in the show, and actually made a point to say, you know, I haven't had the chance to speak to anyone in over a year, I think she mentioned.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite well done.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, in my notes for the beginning of that, I liked straight away, and I did mention this in one of my, I don't know what we call it previously on AMC's The Walking Dead segment. I mentioned that I liked all the different names that they had for the walkers, and this is the first time we've heard them called rotters, I think she called them.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know, there aren't many rotters left around here, and so that's why she's set up these other ones like she has. So I thought, you know, I tipped my hat to that and went, that's a cool thing to call them. So
Yeah,
I didn't pick up on that.
Oh, it's a good one. Yeah, good take, definitely. Like you said, I agree with the balance was struck well. It wasn't too goofy. It was sort of borderline at a few points, but just kept the right amount of, you know, fun and realism. So yeah, I agree. That's cool. And I liked as well how Ezekiel, when he's introducing himself, he almost says king, but then he sort of holds back. That was funny. Yeah, so going over to Alexandria, there's the big horde, Beta's horde now, I guess. Yeah, the Whisperer horde is arriving there, and that really, yeah, it was awesome and exciting and stuff like that. But it really felt like we missed something because you'd think that would be a huge deal. This horde coming to Alexandria and everyone evacuating, but they just completely skipped over that. So. Did that sort of sit the same way with you guys, or were you all right with that?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think it definitely felt like you missed a significant portion that we should have seen. My first thought was we got a whole bunch of stuff with Carol, and I could be a bit biased because she's been annoying me this whole season. But
Amen.
I felt like last episode with Carol, that could have been nullified, and they could have focused a bit more on the Horde making its way to Alexandria. Or at least cut some of the scenes of Carol and put that in there.
Yeah, 100%. And I'd also say the same about Negan, which we'll come back to that later. But you know, he's just done this massive thing killing Alpha, and his big thing with that is I want to be accepted into the community. And so we were really excited to see, okay, how's that going to play out? You know, is Daryl or Carol going to defend him and introduce him, and you know, how are people going to accept him? But they just completely skipped over that. And so, like, it was kind of weird. Classic Negan. Because that was something that would have been really cool to see. And they could have, you know, instead of having Carol running around in the woods, running around in circles, seeing hallucinations for half the episode last week, I don't see why they didn't go with the more interesting story and then just skipped right over it. So, yeah, that was definitely a shame. Not so much an issue with this episode so much, but just the season pacing overall. Definitely, it's a shame that we missed some of that stuff. But yeah, regardless, the Horde is really cool. It looked amazing. I thought I didn't see any noticeable CGI issues or anything. It looked like massive, and it was definitely a cool spectacle to see. It felt epic for sure. And I liked how they're walking in and whispering, "Where are they?" And that kind of like comes back to the first time we saw the Whisperers. So yeah, that was a nice little tie in there.
With that, do you think that was because I love that as well? But after finishing the episode, I was wondering, do you think that was actually the Whisperers communicating, or that was Beta's weird voice that he's hearing?
Oh, good question, actually. Yeah, that could have been either. Because, yeah, he's sort of throughout the whole episode got this weird internal voice talking to him. Hey, how did you feel about that, Liam?
I didn't like it, to be honest. That was probably the one gripe I had with the episode. I'm like, it seemed a bit too ridiculous that he's hearing this voice in his head and it just happens to be telling him everything that he needs to hear correctly.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're in this tower. This is where they are. Go here. It felt a little bit off, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll come back to that in a minute with the tower, but yeah, Isaac, what were you going to say?
I kind of felt like it was almost, they're going on all the time about how they're animals and, you know, they live on instinct and survival, this and that. I liked the idea of this voice in his head telling him what to do being kind of like this animalistic intuition of, you know, being the hunter and seeking out the prey type thing. So at first, especially when they were up on top of that tower and you had Alden and Aaron watching them, it said something in his ear, like, and he heard it. I was kind of taken off guard. I was like, you know, that's a bit odd. Like, is he now hearing Alpha's voice in his head? Is it his own voice in his head? Like, what's going on? But then the fact that it kind of led him to actually do things and it wasn't just some random voice in his head, I think it speaks more about his instincts are starting to kick in. And he has some sort of, I don't know, remaining respect or something for Alpha, and that's why he doesn't want to be called the Alpha, because he feels like somehow maybe that voice belongs to her.
Yeah, that
Like,
actually would have made it work for me if it was Alpha's voice. Maybe that's what they were going for, but they tried it and it just sounded a bit goofy having, you know, her voice actually talking. I could understand that.
Left.
Forward. They went to the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's I would understand if that was maybe what they were going for, but it just sounded goofy. Yeah, the maybe just a little more explanation on that could have worked, but yeah, that's a good take on it still for sure. And yeah, so with Alden and Aaron up in the tower there, well, there's a few things I was going to say. I love how they're talking in sign language, and that actually is referenced later in the episode that Kelly's, I think she's been teaching everyone sign language, or, they're all learning it because of her. And yeah, and regardless of whether or not you're deaf, I think that's a very clever thing in this world, especially where you've got to be quiet a lot of the time to learn that. So I thought that was a cool little touch. But as far as them actually being up in the tower, did you guys think that was a smart move? Because I would have gone like somewhere in one of the towers outside the wall or somewhere where you could escape a bit easier. Because up where they were, if like anything goes wrong, you can't really get out.
I suppose maybe they didn't expect that they would actually climb that tower and be right there where they were. I suppose if it were me and I had chosen that, it would be a complete gamble, which I know is not smart in this particular world, but maybe they didn't expect that they'd, get to the mouth of Alexandria and say, oh, they're all gone. And so instead of then going further in, they just, go past it or something, perhaps.
Yeah. Because I get it as far as,
True.
that's the highest vantage point, but still like Liam up on the library roof a few episodes ago. If anything happens, you can't really escape very easily. Yeah, but that was just a little thought, but that's a nitpick, really. Yeah, and overall, it was tense. And when Alden's leaning out and Beta sort of turns and looks at him, that was like, I was on the edge of my seat for that, 100%. Yeah, so we go over and catch up with everyone from Alexandria. There's people from Oceanside and all from the hilltop. Obviously, that's burnt down, so they've all congregated in this tower. And there's a few things here that, again, I felt like we'd missed something, or there should have been another episode in there that we haven't seen. And one of the things was that this is some sort of like cat tower, or like a pile of cats live there or something, because that comes back a pile of times. There's they say, I thought they all left. Judith says that when Lydia's patting the cat, and someone talks about keeping the cats away, and it smells like cat pee and all that. And so there's something to do with cats there. And the reason is significant is because then later in the episode, Beta sees a cat running past, and that's when he goes, oh, they must be in the tower. So I don't know how Beta knew that was like the tower where the cats all were, or like, did you guys get any of that?
Well, it's kind of like, again, I don't know if we've actually ever seen cats at all in this show. And so it's kind of like you see a random cat crossing the road. There are feral cats everywhere. Again, it's one of those kind of convenient things where it's like, oh, a cat. Perhaps it came from the cat tower that smells like cat pee, and then turns around and off they go back to the tower. So like, I don't know. Watching it, I just accepted it straight away. I didn't really question it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I just felt, especially because that was the big turning point at the end when Beta realized, oh, okay, they're at the tower, but he turned around because he saw the cat. I would think that's a bit more of a significant thing, but we'd never heard anything about it in previous episodes or whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. It just felt a bit strange to me, but that's all right. It's only a small thing, I suppose. We've got Luke. He's up and back in action, which I'm sure Isaac's very happy about. And he's there with Jules as well. His love life's going well, so that's all very good. Isaac, were you happy to see Luke again?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know quite. Again, like, it feels like we missed something. Like, he's got this task that he's doing. I don't know if he's in charge of.
Yeah, he says everyone's counting on me.
It's like, what for exactly? Like, yeah.
I was. Do you have any theories? I was going to ask that as well. Yeah, he says everyone's counting on me, and Carol, I need you to run an errand, and he's like tinkering on something. Any ideas what that could be?
I'm just a casual fan, but I would say that probably something communication based. I mean, obviously, but like a distress signal of some kind, perhaps.
That's
probably
and
why
I guess
the wires from the car.
Eugene's out as well. You know, he's off on his mission. Maybe, Luke's all they've got as far as someone who could put together a radio. And yeah, but again, it wasn't really explained, very detailed. So that was a bit, yeah, but oh well, that's all right. Yeah, and there's a nice little exchange there as well between Judith and Lydia, who have both kind of in a way just lost their mums. So I liked how they had that exchange, and there was sort of the moment of not every mum's as great as yours, Judith, and then she's thinking, oh well, I might not even see her again. Yeah, Liam, did you have any thoughts on that exchange or anything else that went on in the tower at the start?
Mostly that I just thought it was really nice. To be
Yeah.
honest, I thought it was a really beautiful interaction, and I think that's something I'm really liking about Judith's character, despite right from the get-go being born in the zombie apocalypse, she still has what appears to be a heart of gold, and she genuinely cares about people. I really like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Heart of Gold Judith.
Cool. Nice.
And yeah, so after that we go back to Eugene's adventure gang, I'm going to call them. And they come across this minefield, which I thought it was hilarious how Princess actually sort of let them in on it, saying, oh, look, here's one of the horses, and they find the horse head, and they're like, what happened? Did it get eaten by walkers or whatever? And she goes, oh, no, it probably just stepped on one of the mines, just like casually.
He was just horsing around.
Yeah.
I wish she used that. That would have been great.
Horsing around. Oh, no.
No, it wouldn't have. That would have been too far.
Too far.
Jar Jar Binks territory.
Yeah, that's it. What did you guys think of the whole minefield sequence, though?
I didn't mind it. I thought it was a little bit. Is this really necessary? But then using that to then blow up a walker, I'm like, actually, no, this is super necessary. This is great. Once that happened, I'm like, nope, I'm sold.
Yeah, totally.
I really, really liked the practical effects in all of that. Even if some of them weren't practical effects, they looked like they were. So
Yeah.
I like particularly when not Abraham, Eugene. Pardon me. I like when Eugene says, it could cause a
Like cascade.
jeez, a cascade.
what he
Yeah.
says?
Oh, what's a cascade? Boom, boom, boom. That.
I
yeah,
laughed
okay.
out loud both times. Hey, that was amazing. It just blows up and the head flies off and bang.
Was it the head that sets it off?
I thought so. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't notice it was
Oh,
the head.
okay.
I need to rewatch it now.
I mean, I might be wrong, but I thought that was what happened. Yeah, it was just hilarious how that happened, and 100% agree, Isaac. The practical effects there, or it's got to be practical because
Has to
it
be.
looks so good. Yeah, but that was definitely fun. Liam, I do agree as far as going. Is this necessary? If anything in this episode was filler, it was that, in the sense of if it wasn't there at all, nothing would have changed. Like, you could have left the whole thing out and it wouldn't have changed the storyline whatsoever. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it, so I'm not complaining too much. Only other question though is, like, how or why is there a minefield like just outside the city, and how has it not gone off by walkers stepping on them and stuff like that after 10 years? Any
It
theories?
was fenced off, I suppose, and you got to assume that at some point in this town, while the outbreak was happening, there would have been some sort of military occupancy. So, makes sense that
Okay.
they would have mined the outer edges of the town so that walkers coming in would get blown up.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the only thing was that one walker did come through the fence and then blew up. I would have thought after like 10 years that would have happened time after time and eventually kind of gotten rid of them all. But yeah, any other thoughts, Liam?
I'm in the exact same boat as both of you, actually. I thought initially, I'm like, how? Okay, yeah, it makes sense. The military probably would have placed minefields and traps and whatnot around some of the major cities and hubs around the continent, I guess. But then I thought, actually, no, there's no way that would still be standing after a decade. Like, if one walker's just casually walked in there,
Yeah.
yes, it had to get through a fence, but if a horde happened to pass through, which, let's face it, a city, yeah, there would have been a horde, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
I can't see how a minefield would still be standing.
It is a clever idea, though. I like, well, when you said that, I thought about it. I was like, of actually putting minefields around the city. It makes sense if you want to, especially if there's hordes walking. That's a good way to do it. So, yeah, there you go. It was, yeah.
I did also like that it casts a bit of uncertainty towards her character. Like, if she knew that it was a minefield, like, why would you lead someone in there, even if you claim to know the way? It kind of, because right from the start when we meet her, certainly I thought, yeah, she's straight and true. Like, there's nothing wrong with her. I don't think she's going to double cross them in any way. But then she does this, and you're kind of like, oh, well, is she actually playing sweet and innocent and, a little stir crazy, but maybe she does have it in for them, bringing them into a minefield type thing. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked that it wasn't so cut and dry, that it wasn't so obvious to us what her intentions were. And then hearing her explain that it's just because she wanted to be liked so much, she didn't want to lead them the wrong way. And then when she did, she was like, oh, wow, now I have to lead them this way, otherwise they'll find out. So, yeah, I did like that.
Yeah, that's fair. And, after spending a long time by yourself, it's understandable that you do the same thing all the time and you think it's no big deal. And so it only kind of dawned on her afterwards, oh, actually, I probably should have told them about that, even though I thought, oh, yeah, no worries, I've walked over this hundreds of times and been all right. So, yeah, who knows? Well, I don't know why she'd gone through this so many times. Surely you can just walk around it, but that's all right. It was fun. I enjoyed the sequence anyway.
Yeah.
And we've got another scene now of Kelly and Carol. They're out on a run. Yeah, there's quite an interesting exchange that goes on there. Carol finally, actually apologizes for what she's done, and I like some of the dialogue from Kelly talking about, oh, we heard stories about you from the old days, how you'd go off and do the things only you could do, and it actually made me feel a bit better about Carol, just thinking about some of the things she's done in the past with, rescuing people and doing some, controversial things, but things that probably needed to be done. So I was warming up to Carol a bit throughout this scene. But what did you guys think, and how are we feeling about Carol now?
Well, how are we feeling about Carol now? I mean, look, seriously, I think she's maybe learnt her lesson. She's hurt that many people now, and she's really starting to feel like she's the jerk, she's the bad guy. And so actually having somebody like Kelly walk up to her and say, that's your superpower, is being able to something. I didn't quite get what. Like, she has value in being the lone wolf or something, and coming back to the herd type thing, even though
I guess
she's a lone wolf.
Thinking about things like back in season 4 when she killed Karen and David, there were two people in the prison who had the flu, and so she, burned the bodies and stuff as a way to try and stop the spread, and she's gone off on her own and saved everyone from Terminus and all those sort of things. So I could see how from that angle, even her going out of the way to kill Alpha and risk her own life, sure, it was reckless, but you could see how from at least a certain point of view, as Obi-Wan would say, how, that could be understandable, that she's the one doing the brave things that no one else is going to do.
I a little bit do. I don't know if you guys know the one when I say it, but the Thor squinting face he does, like in Thor Ragnarok, where he goes, "Is it though?"
Yeah.
That's kind of the face I make whenever somebody says something about why Carol needs to stick around with the group. I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
But I would rather that entire scene. Honestly, I'd rather that scene had been any of the other characters getting some more screen time. Like, I think we've seen enough of Carol, and we know that she's learnt her lesson. We don't need to see her feeling bad about the past any longer. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair.
Look at the flowers.
Look at the flowers. Liam, how do you feel about Carol?
I'm still not really changed at this point. Like, I can see that she's learned her lesson by the looks of it, and I guess it was nice to see her apologize, but the whole woe is me, teary eyes sort of expression, I'm like, no, don't you do that. Like, Connie is still missing.
Yeah.
How dare you? Okay, I will accept this once Connie is back.
Yeah.
On that, actually, I did like that she apologized for it, and actually is like, this would never happen if I wasn't such a jerk. And I was like, yes, actually, you're
Yeah.
right. That wouldn't have.
Absolutely. Yeah, she needed to do that at some point. My only other thought was that it was maybe a little bit forced as far as the pairing goes, just because, like, I'll say, like, $20 says in the next episode they're the two that are going to find Connie and they're going to come across her. Because, like, that seems really obvious to me. Did you feel that at all, that it was maybe, you know, a bit forced just putting them together so they could have that conversation? I couldn't see why else those two specifically would go out.
Yeah, I agree. It didn't really make much sense to me, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that's it. And at least Carol apologized, because that's been a long time coming, definitely.
Oh,
The
yeah.
one redeeming quality.
Yeah, absolutely. One small thing that it's not a big part of the scene or anything, it just reminded me of it, is Kelly's got like a bandage on her neck. And it's been mentioned in like one or two episodes, like, oh, how's your neck? Or she's like, has a scratch or something. But I can't remember for the life of me, like, what that's from or...
Well, again, I'm just a casual fan, but thinking about the episode where she goes off on her own and, you know, she's starting to go deaf and it's freaking her out. And I think it was during the time where she was killing that wild boar or something. And
Okay.
she gets, you know, attacked by a few walkers, I think. And so she's there up against the tree when they find her. And I think that's where she gets the thing on her neck from.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, maybe not so much of a casual fan. Yeah.
I so am. I
Outwitting
don't
me
do
now.
anything exterior.
Actually, I think you are right about that. So yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I just I'd heard it a few times and I was like, oh, okay, why is that there? But oh, there we go. Makes sense. Back to Daryl and Judith now. Judith sort of, you know, snuck off, left a note for Father Gabriel, but gone off on her own. And it is nice to see, I think, these two paired up and bonding. Particularly now that Judith doesn't have Michonne, I think it's really great to have someone who she's got a strong bond with, aside from Negan or someone like that. So really glad to see her and Daryl together. What did you guys think of that whole situation, and then with the Whisperer that they come across later?
Man, I thought it was so cute.
Yeah.
Daryl accessing his paternal side. Like, this
For
is so
sure.
cool. Although I got to admit, the Whisperer interaction didn't really sit too good with me. I'm like, I can understand, you know, Judith, heart of gold, but at the same time, like, this is a Whisperer. You're well aware of what they've been doing to you. Like, you're now living in a tower full of cat pee. That, you know, I think she was the one that said it smells like cat pee, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because these people are hunting you down. Yeah, I didn't like that she was like, we're not just going to leave her here. I was like, no, yes, you are. Yes, it's a Whisperer. If anything, just hide the body. But yeah, I did like seeing her. Like, I want you to teach me, Daryl. I want to know how to keep everyone safe. And yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, for sure. I do get where she was coming from, particularly later. We'll come back to the chat they have at the end, but saying like, oh, what, you just left her in a ditch? What if, you know, she had family looking for her? Because that kind of tied into the fact that Michonne's left, and they're, you know, imagine if Rick or Michonne or someone else who was important to them was just killed by another group and left in a ditch, not even, you know, made any mention of, and you'd have no idea what happened to them or where they were. So I did understand that side of it at least, and the Whisperer seemed sympathetic enough, so I'd understand why Judith had a soft spot for it.
Well, right from the start, agree with you, Liam. Seeing Daryl be that father figure and straight up say, like, no, you're going back, you know, you're not coming along, it's too dangerous, this isn't a game, like, you know, I was like, that's sensible, you know, even though she's experienced and can fend for herself, she is still just a kid, and so it would be reasonable to send her back. I was like, okay, and then he allows her along anyway, which somehow, you know, trusts Daryl to find a way to make something endearing, you know, I was kind of like, you know, oh, of course. With the whole Whisperer thing, I've always liked the thread of Walking Dead where it's like anybody can be redeemable, you know? My mercy outweighs my wrath or something like that, where it's like,
Yeah.
like classic case being Negan, classic Negan.
Classic Ian.
When it's like, you know, you take the most bad person and this Whisperer, right? Yes, they are the enemy, but they're the enemy right until they're defenseless, wounded, the mask is off, and now you're looking at a person. And it's kind of like, I applaud that side of Judith where she's like, this is a potential member of our community. Like,
Yeah.
like Lydia is, like Mary was going to be. So it's like, I am fully on her side when she's like, we don't have to kill this person. But then as Daryl mentioned, like, she was going to die anyway, so it's best to make it just quick. As for the leaving the body in the ditch, like, we don't know whose family she belongs to, so it's like, it doesn't really make sense to just throw her over the shoulder and, like, carry around until you happen to find someone who goes, hey, that was my second cousin's aunt, Oh, okay. Like,
True.
so, yeah.
I think the body thing in particular for me is not so much that it bothered me that what we have to do something with the body. I would have thought, yeah, trying to hide from the Whisperers, I would be more focused on hiding the body to make sure that another scout doesn't stumble across the body, and go, oh, actually, this one's been shot by what appears to be a bolt to the chest and then one to the face. They're somewhere nearby.
On that, though, I did actually like her motivations for why she's off on her own. That she herself is like, look, Beta. That Beta has, like, he's lost his marbles. He's actually talking to the dead now, and it's gotten really weird. I just want to be away from him, sort of thing. And so that seemed like a very valid concern. Like, if she, like, part of the pack is now afraid of Beta, then, like, gee, something must be up. And so I liked seeing that. I liked that motivation.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, was it the Whisperer that Beta was about to kill?
I think so.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I didn't actually draw that connection.
That was who I thought it was.
I think you're right. Isaac, even like you were saying about, people potentially becoming new members and everyone can be redeemed, I legit was feeling those vibes right up until Daryl actually shot her in the head that this could be someone who they take in.
Yeah.
I just kind of felt it was maybe going that way, but no. Oh, well, that's all right. You gotta do what you gotta do. Yes, from there, well, there's a few different sort of cutaways throughout the episode. We catch up with Aaron and Alden, who are stalking the herd and following them. There's some really good music I found, especially for some of the drone shots, flying over the herd and seeing them just really sort of creepy. It's the Whisperer theme that they've been using, but just in a way that was... Yeah, it was really cool. I liked it. It had a good epic feeling to it. But yeah, so they're kind of stalking and following them. I thought they were a bit close when it came to the bush. I'm not surprised that they got they got caught and ambushed.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I thought, why are you guys standing so close to them? Like, you know exactly who's there. But yeah, it was cool seeing them work together. And at first I'm like, what are you trying to do? But as the episode progressed, you could see that they're trying to work out where they're going, numbers, all that sort of stuff, just to report back.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a real sense of panic with them, which I really enjoyed.
Definitely. Yeah.
My eyes tend to get very sore from eye rolling whenever plot convenience happens in this show. But one thing I did really enjoy, or appreciate rather, was that at the start of the episode, he's trying to phone in with the radio, and it's a bit buggy, so he gives it a whack, and then it works. But then when it actually comes down to it, when they're about to be captured, oh look, the herd is turning around and going back to the tower. When he tries to phone it in, and now his radio is not working, it's not, oh, and now your radio is broken type thing. It's, well, actually, we already knew that the radio was buggy, so I could appreciate that as being a small setup, but like it pays off. So yeah.
Yeah, it didn't just come out of nowhere. Hey, oh, that's good, definitely, whenever they do that. Yeah, so I already talked before about the cat thing. That was a bit weird, but yeah, anyway, it does the job of they're turning around, heading towards the tower, and now Aaron and Alden are captured, so I guess we'll have to see what happens there.
What a catastrophe.
Actually, you know what? So maybe we'll get into this later, but so Maggie is returning like next episode because they've said she's coming back this season, and so it would make sense. It could be just a little, tease at the end or something like that, but I've got a feeling it could be, her coming in and saving the day. I feel like that would work, having her save Aaron and Alden maybe, because she had an alright bond with Alden, and I could see that working. But
Did she really?
I'll come back to that at the end and maybe ask for your guys' theories of how that could happen. Yeah, because he was in the Savior prison, and sort of he was the one who was reasoning with her, and after a bit of time, I felt that they grew a bit of a bond. So yeah. Anyways, Negan and Lydia, they have sort of two conversations, and I really like the dynamic, how sort of Negan goes up, says, "Hey, what's going on? Are you avoiding me or this or that?" And she just goes, "I'm avoiding you." Damn, that's honest.
Yeah.
And just like even seeing Negan being awkward, like he's the most charismatic guy, but even now he's trying to comfort her, but he's being really awkward about it and saying, like, "Oh, I bought you some food. It's not rat, but it's possum. I guess it's kind of a rat." Like, he's trying to be nice, but like, yeah, it's sweet to see that side of him, I thought. And yeah, then the next conversation they have is the really emotional one, which I thought the acting from both of them was amazing, especially just seeing Negan tear up always, that's got to make you tear up. And Lydia was just, really raw, and it felt real. It didn't feel like Hollywood dramatic sad scene, or what I mean. I thought that was good. So what did you think of their dynamic overall in both those interactions?
I actually was kind of the opposite in terms of feeling the realism. I thought Lydia didn't seem quite as over the edge emotional as I would have expected her to be if she was letting it all out. Well, that was my initial take anyways. I'm going to rewatch it, so I'm interested to see how I take it a second time. But at first, and I suppose looking back on it now, I can sort of see that she was sort of bottling it up, and then it sort of all erupted, and then she's punching him in the chest, and then she's hugging him and really, really letting it all out there. So I guess in that sense it made a bit of sense. But initially I'm like, oh, you sort of feel like you're not quite there yet. But overall, I did really like it. I thought it was really honourable of Negan to actually address the elephant in the room and say, "Hey, I killed your mum. Like, this is a big thing.
Yo, mama."
And you're going to have to... I'm glad he didn't drop a your mama joke.
Too far, Negan, too far.
It was a really nice thing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Isaac, what did you think of that?
Now, Ben, you might be surprised at this. I'm actually in agreement with you. For the first time on screen, with a scene with Lydia, I actually felt the stirrings of some genuine human emotion within me.
Wow, I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, look, so yeah, they'd already had that one interaction, and Negan had said, "I actually did like your mum." And you could tell that she'd been thinking about that for some time, like she'd been mulling it over. And then when she finally comes and confronts him, the first thing she says is, "You don't get to tell me what to do." And it's kind of like, okay, so you would think that was premeditated. And she came and she said her bit, and he was like, "Yep, absolutely, I don't get to tell you." And she was like caught off guard by that, and so she kind of nodded and went to turn around. And then you see what I thought was actually a pretty awesome natural progression of emotion within her, where it's like she has that anger, then there's that bit of spite where she's like, we all wish that you died, or most of us wish that you died with her, or something like that, which you can tell she doesn't really mean. She's just trying to say things to make herself feel better. And then from there it goes on to like actual anger at the fact that, she wanted to hate her mum, but Negan is, she's just, and then through that anger it like curves over into frustration, and then she just can't handle it and she breaks down, and quite like her mum, she loses her head. And, starts, and it was at that point where I just kind of like, I have to be very careful when I watch these things not to let up the fact that I'm tearing up, because Shelby knows, my wife Shelby, she knows, and she comes on over just like, this was able to bring out some emotion
your
from
sunnies
me.
on?
Yeah, my eyes are still puffy from the thing, so... But no, everything about it, I think I'll go back and watch it again, but it was extremely emotional. And like you, I felt like it was so genuine I was like, that's exactly how she would be feeling. And then, when it breaks over into her starting to cry and starting to hit him and then him starting to hug her, I was like, don't do that to me. Like, I just can't handle this. Yeah, I thought it was very well done.
Yeah, that's good. I'm very, very glad to hear that. I'll never shy away from admitting if I tear up. It was twice in this
Yeah,
episode,
yeah.
that scene, and also one we'll talk about in a minute with Judith and Daryl. But yeah, both of those scenes, I was like crying. That was yeah, no, very, very well done, I thought. Back to Eugene's gang. We've got them. They come past Fleetwood Drive, which is the second time they've passed it. I liked how they did that little thing of Eugene saying, "Oh, my granddad used to drive a Fleetwood. That's why I remembered."
Yeah.
Just little things like that. It's like, oh, that's something an actual person would probably do. So I liked when they tie in. Just, I don't know, there was something about the dialogue that felt real and it made sense. So I like that. And so that's where we sort of realize that Princess has been leading them around in circles, essentially. And I guess this is another big turning point as to, okay, is this going to be a character that we like, or are we not sure about her? Has she been doing something malicious or not? So, and her explanation is essentially along the lines of, she's been along all this time, and back in the day she had someone tell her that she's hard to love, which I could absolutely understand with things like that in your head from the past, and
Aw,
being
who
on
told you
yourself
that,
for
Ben?
so long. Yeah. I didn't. I never said I can relate to that. I didn't.
Okay.
Did I say that? I don't know.
Who hurt you?
I could understand that, but particularly, when you got something in your head and then you're alone for a long time, that can make it 100% worse. So, so I thought that made sense, especially just because she'd been on her own for so long after, having things like that in her head. So, you'd want to make the best of any opportunity to be around people and to interact with them. So I kind of understood that, and particularly having Eugene come up and say, "Hey, look, I've been in the same boat and lied to to get things that I wanted, or to get people to feel like I'm valuable and all that." Yeah, that's I thought that was good. Isaac, what did you think of that?
Oh, excellent. Exactly that. And when it's Eugene saying that, because we lived that with Eugene, where he was the scum of the earth, where he was the traitor, he was, the awkward guy that just nobody liked. You're like, yeah, you've moved past that now, and we've seen what you've become from that. So there is that hope for Princess as well, and I did like that. But I did want to ask you guys how you felt about Yumiko this entire episode, because how would you guys feel about her?
I thought she was a little bit over the top defensive. I could understand a bit defensive, but I was also thinking, like, you've not long been a part of this whole community here, and they opened their doors to you. Like, why are you so against at least giving someone a chance?
Yeah, I agree. Hey, a little bit, not too much sometimes. Just, okay, why have you got such a problem with this? But I didn't mind her too much, and it kind of seemed like she was the leader of this group in this episode, whereas before it kind of felt like Eugene was the leader, and
Yeah.
so that was a little bit confusing, and especially then at the end, Yumiko's the one who says, "Okay, you can join us," and without even really consulting with the others. I guess they spoke at the start, but So I kind of agree with you there. I don't have any problem with Yumiko really. It's not an issue for me, but you're right. It was maybe a little bit too much of just, oh, why are we trusting her and all that. Yeah.
Well, exactly what Liam was saying. I was kind of like, only at the start of last season or something like that, you were the outsider. Like, nobody knew you, and they accepted you into the community. And here you are on the road talking all tough, like talking about making my eyes roll. Whenever there's a scene, a tense scene with someone's pointing like a gun at someone else, and they're like, are you gonna attack me or something? And then this character will let out some kind of, oh, why don't you try us, or why don't you, see what happens if you blah, blah, blah. It's like, why you got to be so aggressive like that? Clearly the scene calls for diplomacy, and I don't know, things like that tend to get to me, and she was like that this entire episode. right up until the end, and then that hug was it was good. It was good.
Yeah, especially contrasting with Ezekiel, and he's trying to calm everyone down, saying, "Oh, okay, no one's gonna hurt anyone," and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I could see how you'd be a bit frustrated with Yumiko, and she's just making it worse and sort of increasing the tension and all that. So yeah, that's understandable. But yeah, didn't have too much of a problem with it really. And then when they get to the shed, the bicycle shed, which we find out that's what it is. Again,
It is a
Princess
shed.
could have just said,
Or garage.
"Oh,
rather.
it is. Oh, garage or shed."
It's a
Are we
garage.
happy with shed? Oh, damn it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, she could have just said, "Hey, you look, it's bicycles." That would have been better. But I do like the idea of people riding bikes in this world. I don't understand why they didn't do it earlier. I would have thought lots of people, rather than riding horses everywhere, surely you could get some cool dirt bikes, not motorbikes, but just actual push bikes, because they don't need fuel or much maintenance or anything, and you can go pretty fast with not too much energy. So yeah, I like the fact that they're bringing that in. At least that's just a small thing.
And it was
And
also
then-
another fun contrast as well, which is like,
Yeah.
oh, I've got wheels that you can use. Everyone here thought, motor vehicles of some kind.
Sure.
And so it adds to that little bit of crazy, like, yeah, well, she wasn't lying, technically.
Yeah.
So, but you wouldn't really say, hey, I've got wheels in this garage if you're talking about bicycles. Like, if, the flip side to that was if there were all like, unicycles there in like a circus, it's like, well, technically they're wheels, like, so.
Or what are those real old bikes called with the massive front wheel and the two little back ones?
Yeah. Oh, gee,
John-
let me
Like a Fathom something? I don't know. Isaac, you can let us know once
get
you've done
on
the
that, hang on.
research. Okay. Penny Far something. Yeah, but I like the bikes. That would actually be funny if it was unicycles though. And then there's a little thing at the end as well where, Yumiko says, "Okay, you can join us to Princess." And then she goes, "I've got all this stuff. I've got weapons and food and candy." And then you just
Candy.
see Eugene's reaction because he was going off about candy and all that last week. So that was a cool little tie-in. Isaac, what have you got for us?
10 points to you, my friend. Penny farthing is absolutely correct.
Hey,
Also known as a
nice.
high wheeler.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That actually wouldn't be a bad idea. You could be more out of reach of zombies, maybe. Or you could just like ride past and kick them easier. There you go. You could put
Jousting.
spikes on it. That's what I would ride in the apocalypse if I could find one.
One of those.
Yeah, little horn. Absolutely. Or a bazooka.
Oh, yep.
I feel like the kickback of the bazooka might knock you off the bike.
Backwards facing bazooka. So if you're riding away from a horde, you shoot it. It rocket propels the bike and blows up the horde behind you.
Genius.
Win-win.
What could go wrong?
Nothing.
They would write songs about you. The guy that wrote a penny farthing powered
Yeah,
by
absolutely.
bazookas.
I better write a song about that. Yeah, so back to Daryl and Judith. They have that conversation where Judith reveals about Michonne going away and the conversation they've had there. I was kind of let down that they didn't talk about Rick at all. I thought that was the opportunity for Judith to say, "Look, Mum actually found some evidence that Rick or my dad might be alive," and I thought that would have made the whole scene make a lot more sense because she's saying, "I didn't want to tell you, Daryl, because I thought if I
Yeah.
told you, you might leave too." And I don't see why Daryl would leave if Michonne's just going off and helping some people. But if it's because of Rick, then that would make a whole lot of sense. So
Yeah.
again, that just felt like one of those things that was like a script written for a movie rather than an actual conversation people would have. Because I thought in real life, there's no reason Judith wouldn't just say, "Oh, look, she found evidence that my dad might be alive." So that I thought was a bit of a shame, but I love the rest of that conversation. Absolutely.
Well, I could be wrong here, but in the last conversation that she had with Michonne, didn't Michonne say something about like maybe don't go around spreading this to people, like, because they weren't
Did she?
entirely sure what she was going after. I'm trying to remember whether that was a bit of dialogue or not.
You could be right. Yeah.
But then, even then, like, Judith could have said something to him like, I'm not supposed to say anything, or, I don't want to talk about it. Because her saying, like, I didn't want to tell you because you'd leave, it does kind of press for further questions as far as Daryl's concerned. Like, what didn't you want to tell me? Like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess as well, similar to seeing Negan coming back to the community and someone explaining how he killed Alpha and all that. These are things that we as the audience, we want to see. We want to see Daryl find out that Rick could still be alive, or I don't know. Those are moments that I'd love to see at least. So we might get it still at some point, but I kind of would have liked if that was in there a bit more. But Liam, what did you think of their whole interaction or that whole conversation at the end?
I'm in the exact same position that you are. I thought it was incredible. I didn't get moved to tears, not quite.
Okay.
I was on my way. But yeah, I thought it would have been nicer if she did say, Mum's gone out to look for Rick. He might still be alive. Because I did feel the same thing where I thought, I wouldn't have... Like, you would have pressed for a bit more information there. But overall, yeah, it was really nice. And Daryl's words of wisdom, like, you go, Daryl. You go, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a beautiful exchange.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, going slightly off topic, but thinking about that a bit more. So when Judith and Michonne talked, that was after Alpha's head had been cut off because she said, oh, look, Alpha's not a problem. The Whisperers can't hurt us anymore. But obviously it would have been before they left Alexandria because she was using the radio. So, so like... I don't know, it kind of just leaves that awkward bit of time that was completely skipped over where between the last episode and this one, where did they evacuate? Was it a quick thing that happened with the Horde coming? Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that it would have fit in there somewhere, but I feel like it just doesn't quite fit together as smoothly as it could maybe going between the episodes. It kind of feels like maybe, each episode's being written and directed by different people and they're not quite talking to each other as much as they should, which I thought...
Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. Oh, you're talking about Star Wars, aren't you?
Your words, not mine, buddy. Talking about Star Wars.
Yeah. I like The Last Jedi, but that's a whole nother conversation. Season 9, I thought, I'll get into this maybe in another episode, but season 9, I thought, did this really well, where every episode flowed into the next one, and it felt like someone's complete vision, and it just, every thread that was set up followed cleanly into the next, and yeah, it was just easy to watch in that sense. But for the most part, for season 10, that's been my only real main issue with it, is just that it doesn't seem like the episodes are flowing between each other all that well. Each episode I'm really enjoying, but yeah, it kind of feels like we're missing stuff, or different things are being looked over and not followed through on and all that. So that's kind of a small complaint from me. Well, that's a bigger complaint actually. But yeah, how are you feeling about that sort of stuff, Liam?
I agree, actually. Yeah, season 9 did seem to flow a lot more consistently. Whereas this one does feel slightly more disjointed. That being said, like, I'm still really enjoying it, and compared to where we were just a couple of seasons ago, leaps and bounds above.
Absolutely, yeah, far better than season 7 and all that. Still, definitely. Yeah, no, good thoughts. And then what have we got there? Oh yeah, it was mostly. The thing that was really making me tear up was just so it's Kaylee Fleming is the actor of Judith, and her acting was just on point. Like, seeing the tear roll down her cheek. I mean, she's so cute and innocent, and just seeing that she kind of told Michonne to go. She's like, look, you've got to do this, but you can see she's really just missing her mum, and I felt for her. I felt sorry for her. And I thought that was really sweet. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I really liked was when she said to Daryl, like, you promise that you're not going to go. And, you know, any other character would be like, oh, yeah, I promise I'm not going to leave you. I'm always going to be there for you. But he gave it to her straight. He was just like, I can't promise that because I don't know what's going to happen. You know, in the same way that you rely on a lot of the people here, they're going to, when you grow up, they're all going to rely on you. And, you know, we do our best to be there for each other, but I can never promise you what's going to happen. And I was like, great. That's you actually talking as an adult to like, not quite, you know, not a child, even though she is a child. He's like, he's not sugarcoating it for her, which I really appreciated. But I was all cried out by that point, so I couldn't muster any tears.
Yeah. Is that actually what he said? I've took away the opposite from that interaction. I thought he was saying, look, I can't leave because I'd never break a promise, or I'd never leave you, or something like that. I thought that's what he was saying, but I'd have to watch it again. I could have heard it wrong.
Oh,
or maybe he said both.
You've already seen
know.
it twice, mate.
Yeah, that's what I took away from it. But he probably put a bit of both in there, actually.
Okay,
But
well-
still, just the line of like nothing can take the place of the ones you love being gone, but that doesn't mean something good can't follow. That's rough wording, but I just thought that was really nice. It was a nice line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on that one, Isaac?
That's about it. I would like to watch it again because maybe I got it completely wrong. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, there you go.
I took away the same thing. I thought that's what the
Same
I
thing
thought
as
that's
who.
what he said.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I should have clarified that. Isaac, I agree with you. I thought that's what he meant, but
Okay.
he was saying I can't promise that I won't disappear, because I thought he mentioned something around like with the world being the way it is, no one can make that promise.
Yeah.
Damn it, Ben the
I need to
Cable
rewatch it
fan now. Oh no.
Backed up by Liam the Legend Swainson.
Fine. Have it your way. Yeah. Oh, that's good. You're probably right. We then end the episode on the yeah, you'd call it a cliffhanger of the herd that's now approaching the tower that everyone's in, and yeah, that's I guess the cliffhanger we're going to be left hanging on for the next however many months it takes for this whole virus thing to blow over and
Yeah.
for them to come back and resume the final bits of post-production they need to do. So yeah, did you guys feel any certain way about that?
Well, one of the things, bringing back to what you mentioned at the start with how now Beta is able to somehow communicate with the walkers, or like they repeat what he says. At one point when he first notices that he can do that, he like gives a little chuckle or something like that. I don't know if you noticed that when he's walking and the guy
Yeah.
repeats. I thought that was all some
Yeah.
kind of like a hallucination at first. I was like, oh, now he thinks the walkers are talking to him. By the end of this episode, when he says that, where are they, or something like that, I don't know what the word was before that, like fresh. It sounded like he said fresh, but what actually did he say?
I'm not sure actually. Right at the end.
Yeah, he says a one-word sentence, and they all repeat it, and then he says, "Where are they?" And they'll say, "Where are they?" or something. Or no, we are walking, or something like that. Gee, I don't
Ah.
know.
I'm
But-
actually
I need to
not
rewatch it
sure.
now.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
It was pretty
Liam, did
awesome.
you-
Yeah.
No, I didn't pick up on what it was either. I need to rewatch it now.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, go on, Isaac.
That's just it. Like the way he puts his arms out, you know, they're all repeating what he says. Is kind of like, you know, they're all under his thumb now, essentially. Like he's got this entire army, this horde, doing what he wants. So
Yeah.
I think that makes for a pretty awesome villain.
Yeah. As far as the walkers actually talking, I definitely see anything like that being just in his head, but more symbolic of the fact that, you know, he's really so committed to this lifestyle that he can, yeah, pretty much essentially communicate and control the walkers however he wants. You know, there's been plenty of scenes of him even just, like in last episode, he just opens the door and there's the whole herd there and doesn't worry at all. He just completely blends into them. They walk straight past him. He's just so into that yeah, I guess that lifestyle, that I don't know what you call it, but yeah, that way of living that he's really among the dead. It's really cool. One comparison, this is maybe a bit of a stretch, but I think of like Steve Irwin, how, you know, he just has this way of just had R.I.P. Steve, we love you. He just had this way of like connecting with animals that barely anyone else could. Like, you know, you can say you love animals as much as you want and stuff like that, but he could just go up to the most dangerous creature and just sort of, you know, hold it and you know, would trust him. So that's a complicated way to say that. I feel like Beta's kind of at the same point with the walkers where he's just kind of one with them and so far into it that it's part of who he is.
Absolutely. I've got the clip here if you'd like to quickly hear what it is they're saying.
Oh,
Ooh,
thank you.
yes.
Yeah.
So I'll just play. I don't know how well it'll come through, but sorry, 1 second.
Real quick. Here's today's I've got a daily trivia thing for Walking Dead.
Oh wow.
What name does the governor assume after Woodbury? So he's got his real name that he uses in Woodbury, but then he gives himself another name. Is it Brian Harriet, Rick Grimes, Philip Blake, or Wayne Dunlap?
Brian, One Eye Bry.
Okay, Lamb. For me, it was between Brian or Philip.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe it was Brian, but now I'm leaning more towards Philip.
I think Philip was his
Brian
original
instantly
name.
stuck out. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to go Brian.
This is legit happening. Isaac, I went with Philip, but you're 100% right. That was his original name. And Brian was the one that he had afterwards.
Because that's what he's digging the ditch full of zombies, and the guy,
Yeah.
you know, at some point the guy comes up and he calls him One Eye Bry. And then he gets
Really?
whacked on the head with a golf stick and thrown in there, yeah.
Gee.
One Eye Brian.
Okay. Yeah, I'll never say the words casual fan again.
That's so fun. That's exactly what I am.
Have you got the clip there?
It's like it's loading and it's playing, but it's not, the audio's
okay.
not carrying through.
Actually, how about I pull it up? I'll have a look.
Okay. Because it sounds like they say fresh. Like fresh. I'm like, yeah. Well, none of you guys are fresh, that's for sure. You're dead.
Half of Beta's mask is, I suppose.
Oh, yeah. I don't like that you can see the eyebrow on it.
I've not noticed that, but that's so weird.
What is that?
I didn't get either of those. It does kind of sound like fresh.
Doesn't it? The more I listen
think
to
I
it,
have
the
it.
more different it sounds to me.
Yeah. That's like one of those Yanni L'Oreal things. Like,
Yeah.
it could be any number of words. Hey?
I think he's saying either feast or feed,
Okay. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then followed by we war.
I
We
thought it was
war.
reward. Like, here's your reward.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, well, listeners, turnsounds@gmail.com. What did you think it was? Actually, you know what? We can probably watch it with subtitles, and that'll probably say. So I'll go back and do that. But yeah, let us know if you heard anything specific, guys. Email that in. Yeah, so that's really where we leave the episode. Yeah, there's a lot left to happen in the next one. We got, hopefully Connie's going to return. We're going to see the return of Maggie in one way or another. And yeah, I mean, hopefully we get a bit more of the Negan stuff and really find out what his fate's going to be from here, if he can actually be a normal part of the community, a good old classic Negan. Or if he's going to go back in the cell, or where that's going to go, and even potentially people finding out about Rick still being alive. So there's like so many cool moments and things that could happen in the next episode. Have you guys got any like theories or thoughts, particularly if you've got something for like how Maggie could return? Any cool ideas there?
For me, I think that Maggie's going to be with the community that Ezekiel and that group are going to meet up with. I get the feeling that that's where she's been all along, and that when she gets the news that, you know, they're in trouble via the Whisperers and all of that, that's going to be what rallies them up to come back, yeah. As far as Rick,
Yeah.
I not a clue. I hope that we get something, I really do, but I feel like that's something that's really going to be left as a mystery for the movies when they come out.
Actually, this is maybe a small good thing. It's unlikely, but one good thing that could come out of the wait, having to delay the finale, is if they've got some sort of solid plan in place, or they're starting the production of the Rick movies by the time this comes out. Even just an after credit scene or something, it would be cool to get like a little tease of something to come for Rick. That would be cool.
That would be good.
But yeah, we'll see. It'll be exciting nonetheless. I've heard, of course the people behind the scenes are always going to say, oh, it's amazing, but they're talking about it as if it's going to be something great. So I'm definitely looking forward to that whenever it comes. But yeah, we'll probably do some podcasts still in the meantime and talk about a few other things. But yeah, before we end it for today, we'll do our normal segment that we do at the end, which Liam is going to introduce as
Previously on AMC's The Walking Dead. Just to change things up.
talk
like
about
it.
a plot twist. Wow.
Previously on AMC's The Walking Dead.
Thank you
There's
for
the
both
number
of those.
I know. I think you know which one to use, Ben.
Yeah, I know. Alrighty, thank you for that. So this segment gives us an opportunity to talk about some of the previous seasons of the shows and of the show, and some of the stuff that we really haven't got a chance to talk about yet, because we started this podcast halfway through season 10. So there's a lot of other stuff to talk about. So do you want me to start off this week, or does anyone want to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, cool. I haven't done that in a little while. Let's see. What are we going for this week? Actually, one thing that I thought was cool and has been kind of going on into this season as well, but it's been changing sort of since the start, is the opening, like the title of the actual, The Walking Dead title. How it started off fairly clean, and it's sort of rusted and disintegrated more and more every season, and there were, cracks got added to it and stuff like that. So it's kind of been changing every season, or even sometimes in the middle of the season, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And the big thing actually for me that I liked was the first like 8 seasons, right? They're really about the world is falling apart, and it's about our group kind of, surviving and fighting against that world in one way or another. But then in season 9, it kind of changes and becomes about building and rebuilding civilization, growing the community and stuff like that. And so from seasons 1 to 8, it's been slowly disintegrating and getting worse and worse and falling apart, cracks and all that. But then when we come to season 9, there start being these like plants and greenery actually growing on it. And I don't know, I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know how intentional it was, but I thought that was kind of symbolic of, new life starting to grow out of the rubble and stuff like that. And the show was kind of turning that way as well. And now we're seeing throughout season 10, pretty much every episode is becoming more and more like burnt. There's like fire or lava or something. It started just a little bit at the bottom, and now it's like coming from the top and the bottom, and now it's sort of all on fire, which I guess is kind of, with the Whisperer War and everything that's going on, getting more chaotic. Yeah, that's just something that I thought was interesting. Did you guys pick up on that or have any thoughts on that throughout the seasons?
Well, I remember seeing, I don't know if it was season 9 or whether it was season 10 when it started, where you see like the title cards and everything, and it like vines are starting to grow up through the skulls and the pitchforks and stuff like that. I think it was season 10, this one, but exactly that.
Yeah, because the vines like weren't always there, were they?
I don't think so, no. But yeah, very much so. New life, the fact that the things that were all broken down, the old broken down windmills, barn houses, tractors and stuff, now life is starting to grow up over them. And so, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I think they have been intentional about that, haven't they? I think I've heard on one of the special features on maybe season 3 or 4 that's been from day dot, one of their intentional little Easter eggs, I suppose you'd call it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
it's brilliant. It's a nice little touch.
For sure. It's good. Liam, what have you got for us?
Alrighty, so I'm going to take it back to... I can't fully remember, you'll have to help me out here, if he has it in Season 1, but it's not a specific event, it's an object again.
Ah,
Okay.
But it's definitely in Season 2. Daryl's motorbike. It was a cool chopper. Like, he had a badass chopper that he just rode around in the apocalypse. I thought that was really cool. And being
Yeah.
a motorbike rider myself, I appreciate the chopper.
Yeah.
it's nice.
Oh, it's good.
When everyone else decides they want to ride around in steel trucks and stuff, he's still in his motorbike, and I've always appreciated that. Yeah.
Yep,
Totally.
doesn't even wear a helmet.
Nah.
Yeah,
Reckless.
true. Come on, Daryl, setting a bad example for everyone. Like the downside, I would say, is the amount of noise it makes because it's a pretty loud motorbike. But then it's kind of made up for by the fact that you can easily just weave around and escape walkers, and it can go really fast. And also, you can just squeeze through things or dodge around things a lot easier than you could with a car. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense, I suppose. Isaac, what have you got?
Right. So today, I don't know if you guys saw. So on our Turn Sounds thing, I designed a Woodbury meme. For I am a big fan of
Uh-huh.
Woodbury.
Yes.
Why?
Why?
I will not defend why I like Woodbury. But what I do like is actually the walker fights, the fake ones that they stage inside there for entertainment purposes.
Mm.
I'm a big fan of they rip out the fingernails, take out the teeth, and all of that, and it's all for sport. And I figured that if anything, it's quite Mad Max-ish in the sense of you're taking something from the apocalypse and making sport out of it. But I enjoyed seeing it, and Andrea is there, and she's a bit unsure about it, and it's like, yeah, it's a ruse, so I enjoyed seeing it. It's good.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, almost like
about
gladiator style stuff where you've got people fighting in the middle, and then like they had the tigers on chains, but now it's like
Yeah.
walkers around the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
Oh man, that was cool. I forgot that they did that.
Yeah, you like
Oh, I
Woodbury
need to
now,
rewatch
don't you?
that. Maybe.
That was one of those things. The first time I ever watched through the series, I got the DVDs. I was like rented them from Video Easy, and that bit was like scratched up when Merle and Daryl were fighting in the thing, and so like I kind of got bits of it, but like I missed a lot of it, and even the whole Morgan episode, like that bit was all scratched up, so I barely even like saw that episode till I went and rewatched it a
Bad
little bit
form.
later. Yeah,
Clear.
yeah, but no,
I'm here
that's
to clear.
clear. Yeah, definitely. It's a cool one. Good one. I definitely still don't agree that Woodbury is better than Hilltop and Alexandria, but you're allowed to have your own opinion,
Well,
Isaac.
Henry Cavill seems to think so. Are you going to argue with him?
Oh, no, he'd probably beat me up, hey?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, okay, so you beat me at a few trivia things throughout this episode, Isaac. I've got to make myself feel good. Can you tell me
Oh,
where did Judith's name come from? Why is she called Judith?
after the primary school teacher that Carl had.
More specifically,
Or
what grade?
oh,
God.
I hope you feel good about this. I'm gonna guess. Second grade, third grade.
Third grade. Third grade. Close.
Oh,
Oh no! Oh, that's primary school teacher. That's pretty good. Have you
Wow.
like just watched season 3 or something?
no,
'Cause you're
sir.
like, right, you know everything from that.
I
God,
I'm
Julia.
I remember
impressed.
such obscure things about things. Like God, Julia, come on.
God, Julia.
Like, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, I respect you a lot more now, Isaac. I've always respected you, but it's gone up a few notches now.
Oh, good, good. I'll take that. Have to fight
Cool,
for Liam's
yeah,
respect
well-
now.
Yeah, that's it.
Hard one.
Liam the legend. You gotta really prove yourself to get in his good books.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll leave it there today. If you want to get in touch with us, again, turnsounds.com. You can see some of our other podcasts there, and there's a contact page. Otherwise, make sure you follow us on like social media on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We post up there regularly, and if you message us or anything, we'll make sure to get back to you because we love having a chat with you guys. And turnsounds@gmail.com if you want to send us an email. So even things like voice messages and all that, we're absolutely keen for any of that stuff. We'll put it in the show, and we want to hear from you. So make sure to do that. And otherwise, I've been your host, Ben.
I am once again still Liam.
And I am Isaac, the casual fan, Anthony.
Oh, oh dear. All right, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you sometime during the break. We'll do a few bonus episodes whenever we get around to it at some point. So looking forward to that. See you later.
And yet I smile.